What's up, everybody? It's me, your favorite little boy in the whole wide world, Ren with 2 N's. And as you all know, I love the latest Wolfenstein game, particularly its story. I feel like there's a lot to talk about with this story that most people didn't notice or just took for granted, which is what we'll be covering today, as well as a couple of ill-founded, hot-topic political statements that have been made by some people. But since I'm nowhere near qualified to talk about politics in the slightest, I've got Chris Raygun here to help me out.
How's it going, everybody?
So Chris, why don't you go ahead and tell the little kids and teenagers what your channel's all about?
Hey, so I'm Chris Raygun. I do a bunch of political commentary that's not really all that serious, hopefully. Don't take it too seriously, guys.
I think it's great.
Aw, thanks.
First of all, Chris, what did you think of the game?
I thought it was fucking great. It was constantly just making me smile, like, the whole time. And I haven't had that experience in a game in a while. Like, everything that happens is like, oh, that's really good. Oh, that's really well done. Wow, they went with that plot line? What the hell? Like, you get your head cut off and sewn onto another body. You go to audition for your own part in a movie with Hitler as the writer-director on fucking planet Venus. Like, what?
Yes!
That's amazing. It's beautiful, dude.
And that's one thing people need to understand about these games, is that these games are schlock.
Oh, yeah.
And I say that as a compliment, because it's incredibly well made and lovingly crafted, intentional schlock. It's a lot like a Tarantino movie. And, interestingly enough, Wolfenstein is also somewhat inspired by Inglourious Basterds.
Is that, like true?
Yeah.
Yeah, like actually?
Yes.
I mean, I kind of, like, assumed that.
Inglourious Basterds and RoboCop, believe it or not.
Oh, that's a good combo. That's an awesome combination of things.
Yeah.
Now, let me look up the definition of schlock real quick. Cheap or inferior goods or material. Trash.
Well, it is trash. When you have a pregnant woman.
Yeah, pregnant women are trash. Ren's Reviews. 2017.
Okay. But it is schlock, though. Because we have Anya. She's covered in blood. Her bosom is out flopping around. She's pregnant. And she's dual-wielding assault rifles as she's screaming, shooting a Nazi robot dog. That is the essence of schlock.
Right, but it's not trash.
It's not trash. But I think schlock as a word, when you talk about movies and games, it takes on a different meaning.
Right. It's more like kind of like cheese.
Yeah.
Like cheesy.
And so sometimes people say this game is poorly written because of the intentional cheese.
Cheese in and of itself, like something being cheesy, is also not like an inherent negative. Like I love the original 2 Spider-Man movies to death, even though those are just like full of cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Raimi in general is just like a cheese man.
Speaking of Sam Raimi, that Fergus's his hand, he fights his own hand. That's a total homage to Evil Dead.
Oh yeah, I was deeply amused by that entire like sub story.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, the whole story was great.
Yeah,
but there are actually a lot of people out there who disagree.
If you were ever looking for an example of how not to tell a story through games, I'd say this is it.
Really?
That's what he said.
What the hell? What kind of what?
Let's prove him wrong, Chris. Can I call you Chris?
Has he not has he not played Halo 4?
Jesus. Clearly he hasn't played Halo 4 or Rise of the Tomb Raider
or like a myriad of other games that have infinitely worse stories than this.
Yes.
Like, how can you honestly make that case? Is this guy a troll?
No.
I don't understand how somebody could actually genuinely think that.
He's crazy. But let's go back to the beginning of the game, where I was very surprised to see that they actually delve into BJ's childhood.
Oh yeah, I thought they did it pretty well too.
A really great attention to detail is that BJ's mother is very similar to Anya, both in appearance and in her accent. And Anya is, of course, BJ's girlfriend.
Right. I thought that was a little odd.
Well, that's Freudian, right?
I guess so. Yeah. It was a little awkward.
That's a relatively common thing, though. Like, look at H3H3. Gila looks just like Ethan's mom.
Oh.
There's it's Freudian.
Some psychology
no, Oedipal.
Oedipal.
Either way, either one
right.
works. But that's a pretty common thing. Not for me, because my mom was black, and I have a brown girlfriend. Why are you laughing? You think black mamas is a joke?
You're not gonna spin this around at me, Red.
I'll spin it right round, baby. Wherever it needs to go. Why are you laughing?
You know why I laugh, Ren?
Tell me.
I laugh when I'm uncomfortable.
Why are you uncomfortable?
Because we're talking about black mamas. What were we talking about? Oh, Oedipus.
Yes, Oedipus. I felt like that really worked and that was a really nice attention to detail. And then, on top of that, there are parallels because we see BJ being forced to shoot his dog and Siggy, let's call her Siggy.
If you've played the game, she's the fat Nazi chick.
Yeah, her name is Sigrun.
Sigrun. Yeah, it's repugnant.
Yes, much like the woman herself. But...
Yes. You can't be fat shaming, dude.
Well...
This is not okay.
All right.
Demonetized.
Yeah. Anyway, as a parallel to BJ being forced to kill his own dog, Frau Engel makes Siggy kill Caroline. And just like BJ, she cannot go through with it. And Frau Engel does it herself, just like BJ's dad. That doesn't sound like much, but it really does help us to kind of instantly identify with Siggy as a character. We understand her plight because we just experienced it ourselves as BJ. And I think that's kind of genius.
It's a super solid way of just kind of connecting two characters.
I feel like that scene as a whole is really kind of incredible.
No, it's super. It's shocking.
Yes, it does everything. It reestablishes the Nazis as a threat. It kills off a central character. It's intimidating. It's shocking. Yeah. And it is funny. I thought it was funny when she is trying to kiss her daughter with Caroline's head and putting it down to her daughter's Gupta. I mean, that's messed up.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah.
It's exactly what a Nazi would do.
This game hits all the emotions in that one scene. And you got a movie like Transformers: The Last Night trying to do the same thing. And, well, wouldn't you guess, it fails. It fails pretty hard.
Did you watch Transformers: The Last Night?
I'm about 40 minutes into it at this point.
I didn't even know that was the name of a movie. Like, I'm being genuine.
Well,
I haven't seen a Transformers movie since the first one.
It goes back to the medieval times, and
I don't want to hear about this.
What is his name? What's that wizard's name? Merlin. Merlin awakens a dragon transformer, to help him win the war.
I don't like this because I believe it.
It's true, though. It's what happened in the movie.
That's the real plot? No, it's fucking not.
That's the beginning of the movie. Is Merlin?
The beginning of Transformers does not have a Merlin in medieval times.
You are going to be proven wrong so hard.
Magic does exist. It was found long ago inside a crashed alien ship.
What I'm most fixated on about this game is the setups and the payoffs, because that is so rare to get setups and payoffs for characters. Almost everything is set up. When you're walking around the U-boat, you can hear characters interacting with each other.
Yeah.
But there's one where like these two chicks are talking about super spesh and how him and his father, they saw a UFO crash land in Roswell, and that's why super spesh is just like this crazy conspiracy theorist, and they kind of like set you up and ease you into his character a little bit. And then on top of things like that, we get character evolutions too. Like throughout the game, Fergus is just crotchety, angry, and difficult. But towards the end of the game, we see him start to show a softer side of himself as he apologizes to Max Haas, who drew on his shirt earlier on in the game. And then Fergus also tried to ask out that girl.
Oh, yeah.
Who also, if you listen around on the U-boat, talks about how she kind of has a crush on Fergus.
Oh, I actually didn't catch that one.
I'm sure there's stuff that I didn't
There's
catch
a bunch
either.
of stuff that you can miss.
Yes. And that's the thing, too, is, there's a little bit of replay value in that.
Yeah, because if you really are somebody who just thinks this is the prime example of how not to tell a story in game, you can literally just skip most of it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Fergus doesn't go through much of an evolution, but it's enough that it feels satisfying as a viewer.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Max Haas?
I don't know, but I enjoyed, like, his character being established, even though he's essentially just a fucking walking Pokemon. Oh. Just like a big Pokemon.
Yeah.
Saying his name constantly.
That's part of what makes me love the game, is that they went through the trouble to give this guy some personality and make him a likable character, and he can only say his own name.
Yeah. No, it's insane how they're able to do that. Like
I know.
I feel like they do that with like essentially everybody in that cast.
Yeah.
And it's great. Because there are plenty of games where I've played and I don't even give a shit about the main character.
Yes.
Let alone everybody else.
They give him character by showing he expresses himself through his art.
Yeah, and he beat he's playing chess
Yes.
and he actually won.
Yeah.
I actually didn't catch that the first time.
What's also a nice little detail is Max Haas is missing the left side of his brain, and according to, some studies, the right side of the brain is the one that's associated with creativity.
Right.
And speaking of big, giant, ugly people, even Frau Engel's daughter has a character arc of sorts. At some point you can hear her and Set talking about how Mother doesn't approve of this and that, and Mother didn't want me to be with this boy and that boy, and he says,
You are free of your mother right now, no? You can go on any romantic adventure you like.
Yeah, and then she fucks the black dude in a boat.
yeah, that's the first thing she does.
Yeah, and at the end she stands up for herself.
Yeah, she choke slams Grace.
Yeah.
And grows a little bit of a backbone, and it's kind of, again, satisfying to see, because we know she's been stomped on her entire life, and to see her come into her own and evolve is great. And actually, the chick who plays Grace Walker, she is actually, do you remember Mad TV?
Yeah.
Do you remember the black lady from Mad TV?
Is that her?
Yeah, that's her.
Holy shit. I didn't know that actually.
Yeah.
What the fuck? All these character arcs, they're super refreshing from a video game standpoint. It's nice.
It honestly has spoiled me, because I want this amount of character depth in every game. And that's part of why I'm making this video. This deserves to be celebrated and praised, because we need more of it.
Yeah.
We really do.
It's honestly shocking, especially considering the fact that it's a first-person shooter, which is like I'm constantly told, because I'm a Halo nerd, and everybody's like, oh, who could you like a Halo story? It's an FPS. But I'm constantly told that FPSs are like the worst medium to tell stories. But this game is fantastic, and it completely erodes that notion.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think that the setups on one occasion did kind of ruin a surprise for me. As soon as they reveal the monkey cat,
Right.
I knew at that moment that BJ was going to get a new body.
Really?
Yes, because like 2 minutes before that, BJ's talking about how his body is dying and he doesn't think he's going to make it.
Right. I guess so. I didn't pick up on it. So it wasn't that obvious to me, and I kind of forgot about the monkey cat after a while. I was hoping that you would have your head put on monkey cat.
Oh.
So you could climb through vents as a small little monkey with BJ Blazkowicz's head.
That would be amazing.
I thought that would have been hysterical. It's like, have you ever played Medieval?
Oh, yeah, on the PS1?
On the PS1 where you could put your head on the hand?
Yeah.
What a fucking obscure thing that I just remembered.
And I'm so glad you brought it up, because now I'm going to have to scour YouTube forever to find a clip of it. But that whole sequence when BJ gets captured is so good.
Yeah.
But the fact that you get captured, and then Super Spesh comes in as your lawyer. He tells you this plan. He's like, we're going to get you out of here. And it sounds like it's going to be this exciting sequence. And then he says, all right, I'm going to get the guard in here. I'm going to stab him. And then he looks back at you like he's Jim from The Office, spiking the camera.
Yeah.
And he's got this thing, and I'm smiling too. I'm like, this is great. And then he gets shot. And my mouth dropped.
You know what's funny?
What?
I actually saw that coming.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was odd that they pulled me away from the door, so I couldn't see who was behind him.
Oh, okay.
And that to me was like, oh, they're gonna get him.
For me, I was engaged. I was fully immersed.
It's interesting the things that people like pick up on. And
Yeah.
The things, yeah. It's neat. But that was a really good sequence too. I love how it just like batters the hope out of you. It's so good.
It's amazing.
It's such a great the fact that you experience your own death. Like I honestly like that was shocking as hell to me. Also, something that I noticed, the fucking cinematography is awesome.
Yeah.
The way there's this one scene, I think they're talking at like they're doing a mission briefing or something, and the camera just like gets real close to him and like swooshes around him and like does this. I gotta find it. I know exactly where it is, but it's such a good shot. And then there's like the split screen shots and the shot of him getting in the rocket to go back to Earth, and it has all these like separate cameras looking on. Oh, it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Just the way the game looks.
They did put a lot of thought into every camera angle and what camera angles convey and what.
Yeah, it's more thought than I've seen in like a lot of movies.
I know. But before we move on to the final category, we got to talk about Hitler.
The fact that he walks in and he's just this decrepit thing. Okay, first of all, the fact that he just lives on Venus and is writing and directing a movie about BJ being a piece of... I love the lines that he gets. That one texture of that paper with all those words written on it, that script written the way it is. Like, that on its own is more detailed than I've seen in a lot of games that I've played. That whole scene is awesome. I love that, like, you actually killing a guard in that room where they tell you to do the scene.
Yeah.
Is like exactly like what he wants, but it's also kind of like catharsis for what the character wants too.
Yes.
It's like this weird moment where it's like everybody wins. I love that scene so much. That's gonna stick in my head. I feel like a lot of this game is gonna stick in my mind.
Me too. And I feel like I want other developers to look at this and say, oh, that's really interesting. We should try that. Or at the very least, let's get some more character-driven single-player games because I think we desperately need that.
Yeah, it's just satisfying the way it manages to balance these like the twists and turns of like a proper narrative, and you know the feeling of like climax and the feeling of tension and the feeling of character evolution, while also remaining this ridiculous balls to the wall action game where you can dual wield fucking light machine guns.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. You hit the head on the side of your wheelchair. So, why don't you explain to the viewers what exactly is a politic?
What is a politic?
Yes, please explain.
What is a politic? What the fuck kind of question is that?
It's a softball for you, Chris.
What is a
I want to make you look
that's
good.
Not even like an English. That's not even like the English language. What is a politic?
It sounds like English to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Listen, there's a lot of political craziness going around this game, as you know, because on account of all of the Nazis, and because there's a lot of calling people Nazis on the internet and in American politics today. For some reason, people are convinced that this game is trying to make a political statement.
Well, you know what else I think too? I could be wrong on this, so let me know. But I feel like people treat politics kind of like people treat the Bible, where they just interpret whatever they want out of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, you can interpret any number of things from any kind of political analysis that anybody gives of a certain video game. Like, you could... a good example was, like, I remember Anita Sarkeesian did a video about Destiny. Or, like, not a video about Destiny, but she did a presentation at
about how they sit, right?
About how they sit. And how it's absurd that they would have men and women sitting differently. And by the way, like, as far as like the whole like because Wolfenstein had a bunch of ads about killing Nazis, because of course, and people got mad, I guess. And it's like, you would have to be the stupidest marketer on the face of the earth to be in charge of a Wolfenstein game in an era where there's a bunch of Nazi hysteria and not use that as an advantage in selling the game.
It gets people talking about it, right?
It gets people talking about it. It's clever. It just makes sense. Why would you not at least kind of play off that hysteria? It's honestly like the only game that I would probably give a pass for it, because it's based on this.
Well, like I said, I like to stay out of the politics.
Right. And it makes sense too, because it is kind of infuriating.
Yeah, it's just not my scene, man. But I really don't feel like Machine Games were trying to have any political statements with this game.
Absolutely not.
How much were you thinking about current events when you were writing this story?
So when we started making the game, and it was in 2014, we had already known that we were going to America. We had no idea that...
there would be actual Nazis.
That there would be actual Nazis in American streets.
People need to realize that they started developing this game 3 years ago. They didn't know if Trump would win. They did not make Frau Engel purposely look like Hillary Clinton.
Jesus Christ, there are people. So there are people who think they made the Nazi leader look like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
So it's all over the place. It's everybody flipping out. She does kind of, but Hillary Clinton also just looks like an old woman. It's not intentional. You'd have to come to the conclusion that they don't necessarily care what side people interpret their game to be on, if they're even taking a political stance, because they seem to be just kind of taking the piss out of everybody. If you're going to believe that they're taking the piss out of anybody at all.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What do you think this game's politics are?
I feel like it's honestly seriously patriotic. I don't know. I just felt like it felt really good at the end of the game when they're giving that speech about like, in your blood is the blood of revolutionaries. You know,
Yeah.
Stand up for take the country back. And it's just like, oh, this is fucking cool.
People want to equate that to Donald Trump, like he's our oppressor.
That's not a controversial speech at all. It's honestly just saying Americans are awesome.
People like to find something to point at and be upset about.
Yeah, everybody likes to find something to bitch about, I feel like.
And we're, in a way, we're bitching about them, aren't we?
That's true. The cycle continues.
Yeah.
The idea that there's some kind of like conspiracy with the Grace character. It's like, oh, it's just trying to independent black woman, you know?
Yeah, that's another thing, too. It's usually a sassy black chick that leads the revolution.
Yeah. And it's, it's fine. There's nothing bad about that. What are you getting your jimmies all rustled?
I saw it as an homage to blaxploitation type deal.
Yeah, it reminded
Like-
me a lot, actually, of, I don't know how familiar you are with that game, but like it reminded me a lot of Daisy Fitzroy in Bioshock
Yeah.
Infinite.
That's actually a good comparison.
Yeah, it's not a new thing, and it's just because it's a character that happens to embody a certain.
But it's because she's talking. This is what people have latched onto. It's because she's talking down the whitey. Because in this game, the whitey is Nazis. But if she really hated white people, she wouldn't side with BJ. And I think they intentionally gave her a white boyfriend so that she's not racist. She's been oppressed by the Nazis.
by the very real Nazis in this game's universe.
That's it. You got anything else you want to add?
It's a good game.
Yeah. I'm already excited for the third one. It's probably going to take 3 years to come out.
Yeah, I'm really pumped.
But it's a truly amazing game, and I am so glad I bought it, and I would urge others to go buy it as well. I mean, you should have already played it if you're watching this, but
Yeah, but you'll still enjoy it if you haven't. It's honestly just such a fun ride.
And Chris, I gotta thank you so much for coming to the channel and talking about this with me.
Of course, man.
This was genuinely the most fun I've had recording a video. I mean it.
Well, hopefully we can. This can be stitched into something that is coherent.
Yeah, what are we recording now? What do we got?
I got an hour and 40.
Oh, shit. I'll make it work. I will make it work. But you guys should definitely go check out Chris Raygun. I think you'll enjoy it. I think he's got some very funny content on there.
Aw, thanks.
And when you're there, leave a comment in one of his videos. Make sure you tell him Ren's Reviews sent you to get 20% off audible.com.
Yeah. Right. We should find a snappy way to end it then.
Snappy way to end the video?
A little snappy.
How about we show the sun setting on one
Right.
side, and we do a time lapse of the sun going down.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And then the video ends, and we put a message up on the screen that says, women and children, please remember, put the bag over yourself before your child.
I like that. That's a good way to end it.